All right, so start with GJ. Oh, okay. On the monthly. So yeah, my basic lesson for last week was, hey, mind the weekly and monthly supply and demand zones. Why won't you? Right. So I'm like, yeah, priority number one is to plot them first so I know exactly what I could potentially run into, right? So the darker gray is the monthly and the lighter gray is the weekly levels, right? So we see on GJ, this level acted as support before. So we want to be mindful of that. You know what I mean? Just in case. So we're almost to a weekly supply zone. Kind of just barely wicked it. I'm still completely bullish. Just of course there is a chance we can start to break down and maybe dabble into this area before continuing up. But right now, everything is still pretty bullish. The 4 hour, oopsies, 4 hours bullish, right? So that is my bias. We have really good supply right here in this level, so it'd be nice if this price could come to this level and we can get some buys before it continues bullish. But if not, then it's just fine. I'm still in GJ buys. I'm not, I haven't exited yet. But if I see some breaks of support, I probably will exit just because I know this area is full of supply, full of sellers right now. So I wouldn't want to challenge that level too much. Use me. So on UJ, starting on the monthly time frame, right? Completely bullish. We have this monthly resistance here, but we're not there yet. We have a weekly level right here where price acted as a resistance. Look to the left, and we were actually using that level as support, and it found liquidity right here, right? We created support right here in this weekly liquidity. So right now, we have this minor resistance level that you can see on the daily. Price broke it, we're bullish, so on and so forth. Okay, so the 4 hour is still completely bullish, right? So we made support right here. You have an engulfing candle here. Look at all the wick right here. It's a 50% zone on the, like a sub fib. And we just created another engulfing right here. So I'm already in a whole bunch of UJ buys, but hypothetically, if you want to do a nice scale and entry, maybe this could be it. And I know it's 9:22 p.m. on a Sunday, but sometimes I realize that price action is just gonna be king regardless of time. But I still, prioritize getting in when the market is volatile because it just makes sense. And that's usually when price does crazy things and then goes in the direction, if it does. All right, so my bias for the week, it's just buys. And we might even use this little, see all this wick right here that the daily left, when it used it as resistance for a moment, we could possibly see that same level be respected as support. And it's kind of already happening because you had a support created here and it still hasn't broken. And if it breaks, then the level it can go to is after that. This level. Back into that weekly liquidity, which more than likely after that would have a hard bounce off of it, right? But that's only if we were to actually break support on the 4 hour. And they wait. Oh my gosh, we're finally okay. So, girl, me or her have been battling, right? But again, this is really why my lesson for last week was, hey, mind the supply and demand zones on the weekly time frames, right? Because on the weekly and monthly, but we tapped this level, right? And that's on the monthly, so that's a whole lot of buyers there. Price changed on the daily time frame. all I saw was, lower high created. I was just waiting for another lower high the whole time. So I kept over analyzing some of the 4-hour levels and saying, oh yeah, it broke. When really, I mean, it kind of actually did break there. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. And since it broke there, this right here, do you know what this technically is? Boom, resistance created, respected, respected. This is technically respected because you have a bullish candle and then you have a bearish candle. Now, for more compliments, we tapped that level that I actually should have been waiting for price to come up here the whole time because there really wasn't any other weekly level to the left that would have made sense for us to react off of. Because, weekly to weekly, zone to zone, we tapped here, then we tapped here, and it had to go somewhere. And I was not really being, cognizant of that. And it's cool because just got to remember things. But yeah, my bias for the week on gold is like very bearish. And if it happens to go bullish, then that must be a monthly play, right? And then, the monthly closes in 3 days too. But yeah, I don't know. Right now, I'm just looking at the weekly, and the weekly is nice, and it has this delicious bearish flow going on. I see what I see. Ideally, you would like to wait for a break of support on the 4-hour, just because, actually, no, I lied. No, because we already did that. We already have that. But I would like to get into some sells New York session when I see some lower highs or some bearish engulfing. So we'll see what happens with that. On the daily, oh yeah, definitely. See, now we broke out of the little trend line that we had, little counter trend line. I don't think I was tripping about. All right, so we know that the weekly time frame is bullish, right? At least according to the way I trade. We had this little resistance level, and ever since then it was bullish. Boom, boom, 2 bullish candles. We're continuing bullish. This is just a pullback. So what is that pullback looking like? Point B. Point B. Hold on. Oh, that's right. Okay, so if this is your point A and this is your point B, then we had this 38.2 candle that was all nice and juicy. Okay, cool. Again, this is actually not a broken candle. This is tested. So technically, you'd have to bring the fib up. Now, this is only if you're trading on the daily time frame, because on the 4-hour time frame, yeah, actually, it did actually break. But I'm trading the daily. And what I realized about this was, okay, now this is funny because you can't actually see it on the weekly too much right here, but you could, I mean, unless you went like this and use that level as confluence instead, which you totally could have done to see where it could have potentially reversed from. But on the 3-day, which is a time frame I like now, you can see all this right here. And that's what that was responding to, right? And then we have this big old daily candle right here. Like, are you for real? Of course, I'm going to assume that you're going to continue bullish because, you have the monthly and then you have the weekly. Then the daily thing was the only thing that didn't look too bullish at the time, but I think we're okay now. Right. Ideally, you would like to wait for this break of resistance right here, but I think that this was enough. This head and shoulders in this heavy liquidity area while we're at a 50 to 61.8% zone, while the weekly is bullish. Like, yes, we have this bearish engulfing, but at the end of the day, the trend matters. So if price breaks this 4-hour level right here, then, you know, we'll be pretty set to continue bullish for, I think, at least until this level, right? And I'm analyzing the dollar as if it's gonna be something I trade. It's not, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this week. Happy trading.